All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 2. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
What's going on? How are we feeling this afternoon?
Feeling great, although I had one of my real-life fears happen today.
Oh, yeah?
I escaped. I had to go to the bathroom on the golf course, and
What's with you in the bathroom, man?
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a problem.
disaster.
no,
Like,
it isn't.
There's something
I was out in the
wrong with
wilderness,
you.
so I stepped foot in the woods, and I don't know why I thought of this.
The wilderness.
It is. As soon as I was about to step foot, just outside the red stake, I'm like, God, I hate snakes, man. I could just see a snake popping up in this area. And as soon as I said that, I planted my feet to prepare. And I looked down, and I was stepping on the tail of a giant black rattling snake. I don't know what the hell this
way.
thing was. And it started looking at me, and it's going, I was so rattled, man.
Yes.
I can't stand snakes, and the sight of them, and he was just he had a little head on him.
Yeah.
But usually you just see little weasel snakes. This thing had some girth to it, and he was just.
Yeah, that's terrifying, man.
You run. You run.
You
like
have
you,
to.
Yeah.
That's
you
in the
don't.
city, though. Like, I never thought of
I know.
city snakes, man.
And
Those are
I
even
went
scarier.
to chip my golf ball probably 15 paces from this snake. And I still, right before impact, I looked back and I horse-eyed into that area because I'm like, I don't know how fast that guy moves. I don't know how mad it is. I hate them. I never see them, and I don't know why I thought of it. I was going to take a piss, and I thought, I hate snakes. I think there's a snake around. I planted my feet. I looked down, and a giant snake's there.
Yeah, that's wild, man. I don't recall the last time I saw a snake, on a golf course or anywhere else, especially in the city, because I know where you are. I mean, there's a lot of people that live around there. Although, throughout the city, there's a lot of ravines, and there's, I used to play Don Valley as a kid all the time. You'd see fox, deer, coyotes. I'm like, where am I? The 401 is right there. Like, you're literally under the 401 at Don Valley.
When we moved down to Carolina, we went, Jake Sanderson's old man, Jeff Sanderson, and myself, we went down to Pinehurst. And the guy at Pinehurst says, watch the fescue. There's a ton of snakes. And I'm like, all right, man. I went to tee up my ball, and Jeff Sanderson grabbed the grip of his driver and wiggled it up my leg, and I did a somersault. I jumped. I just ran and jumped. It scared the hell out of me. I'll never forget that.
Now the nerves, because some animals, man, you've heard stories that they have memories, and if you've messed with them, they will get you. There's now a lot of these are like actual animals that can really get you. Like, by all accounts, tigers are like that. You mess with a tiger, it'll find you 6 months later 250 kilometers away. It'll sniff you
Pat
out.
Quinn?
Dude, my biggest fear
It's the
in
Pat
life.
Quinn of animals, the animal kingdom.
My biggest fear, and I've had it since I was 5 years old, is face to face with a cobra. And the cobra is just staring at me, and it just bites you to death, and you die.
Yeah, that's troubling. Although you'll note, again, you go to Australia and stuff like that, the smaller the snake, generally the scarier it is in terms of venom and in terms of, like, you get a black mamba or something like that. Like the cobras and the pythons, they're all over Florida, too. You go down to Florida, there's massive snakes down there. Like massive snakes, and they're taking alligators out and stuff. It's just,
Dude, the worst
Florida's
thing
not
that
a normal
happened to
place,
me
man.
is Twitter, because these videos started popping up. You want to talk about algorithms? This thing knows my biggest fear. There's videos of snakes popping up through a toilet.
Yeah, you see that in certain parts
And I'm
of the
talking
world.
about an anaconda.
I know that.
Yes.
I know that. That is where worlds collide. If there's an anaconda in Kitchener and the two of you meet halfway, I don't know who wins that battle.
It's just
Anything
weird, though.
would have been possible there.
If an
Nobody
that
likes-
would have been the King Daddy topper. If an anaconda jumped out and bit me on the butthole.
While your TSN mug is rolling around.
Right while the guy says, "Hey, that's probably O-Dog's mug." Just
See,
Well,
nobody
anyway.
likes snakes.
Nobody does.
Other
Nobody.
than Brent Burns. I believe Brent Burns is like a snake guy. And what was the goalie there? Ate himself out of the league. What was his name?
I don't know who you're talking
I can't
about.
remember, but there was another goalie who loved snakes. I can't remember, but it's a weird. To me, they're really creepy. Like I'm sure I'm offending a snake.
I don't
person
think
right
so,
now.
man. You're not
They are
saying you want them
scary.
all gone or anything like that. They're they're
but they
creepy.
are
They're
scary.
a creepy animal.
They are scary
Yeah.
animals.
There's
Like,
nothing about a snake that
You know what's
anyone
scarier,
wants.
Hazy B?
What's that?
A championship caliber team that wants to get back into a series.
Well, we just mentioned the state of Florida momentarily, or just a moment ago, and that is where, all eyes are going to be on South Florida tonight as we have Game 3 on TSN Radio. And I agree with that, and the books would indicate that. I saw on FanDuel recently the spread or the line is minus 230 for the Panthers to win tonight. And at some point it was like minus 250, minus 260.
Really?
That's like borderline. We're guaranteeing Florida wins tonight. That's what the books are saying. That's what Vegas is saying. I'm sure that's what a lot of people around hockey are saying, and it's understandable. It's justified because, like you mentioned, they're Cup champs and they have pride, and they're probably sitting there realizing you have to win tonight. You put you corner a team like this, and their backs are up against the wall, and they have to win. I think it's a safe bet you're going to get a good response. I fully expect Florida to play well. But I'm not of the mind that the Leafs are just going to roll over here because of that. I think the Leafs are going to show up and
opportunity.
play tonight. It's a big opportunity. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of that line that I mentioned is paying respect to the Florida Panthers, which is deserved and understandable. And some of the line is still chipping away on the history of the Leafs. And we're not quite there yet to believe that you guys are actually different. And I actually think that's a good thing for the Leafs. Not that they're on FanDuel before the game, but you're up 2-0 in the series. And I think if you're Craig Berube, you can still spin this as you're the underdog tonight. Everyone in the world thinks you're going to fold. Everyone in the world thinks Florida's just going to pump you tonight. I don't know. I think you're going to see a game out of the Maple Leafs
Everything
tonight.
they've
so,
said in the
too.
past, guys, which bothered us all at different points, and we've had to talk about it so many different times about the learning, and we're going to learn from this. They could write a massive test tonight about all the learning they've done, even through their experience with the Ottawa Senators. No withdrawals tonight. You put so much in, and you got yourself in a good position. Just keep the Florida Panthers out of the driver's seat. I saw Kendrick Perkins talking the other day about the Knicks and the Celtics, and he's like, the Knicks got to go home, and they have got. He was calling it a mandatory win for the Knicks to win Game 3 at home.
Well, they're dealing with the same thing. Celtics are the champs.
Exactly.
They're the Boston Celtics, and the Knicks are the Knicks.
Exactly.
It's a carbon copy. Only the Knicks are going home. Where here, the Maple Leafs are going on the road.
Right. Hey, listen, it's an opportunity. Everybody say, "Oh, the Leafs haven't played well in Florida. Florida's down 2-0. The Cup champs, all of that." Those are all just facts. But you have an opportunity here to change that narrative. And I don't want to say play loose, but don't play tight. Go and play hard and see what happens. To me, you can be dangerous when you're confident and loose. And I think that maybe I'm wrong. I think it's mandatory for the Leafs to get one of these games in Florida. That way you give yourself an opportunity coming home, and 3-1 is a stranglehold. Mm-hmm. So in the end, it's probably better to do it on the front end because 2-1 makes it a series, 3-0 makes it, hey, you know what, maybe get the second one type of thing. But this is a massive game, and it's an opportunity for a lot of players who maybe haven't had their A game, but they've looked good or whatever. We were talking about it, Hayes, and we'll fill you in on it, but yesterday it's all right for a goaltender to steal a game. Calvin Pickard did last night for the most part. He allowed 4, and he was fantastic.
Sometimes for Edmonton last night.
So sometimes a goaltender can factor in a positive way. Bob hasn't had his goods, so he might have his goods tonight. Who knows? But in the end, these unique storylines, you've been talking about it. What if somebody just goes, what if Auston Matthews goes, not on my watch, I'm getting 3 tonight?
Well, I think it's a big opportunity for him tonight because, he's played well, he's played fine, he's got 2 goals in the playoffs so far. His teammates have carried the load offensively. William Nylander's been a machine. You're the captain, you're the best player, you're in enemy's territory, you're going to get Barkov a ton tonight. You got to do some damage at some point. Now, I think, as I said yesterday,
Barkov took it to him a little bit the other night.
They were leaning on him, and again, they didn't get on the sheet
a bunch of times early.
Yeah, but again, if you look at it, there were times where I thought, in Ottawa, it was a similar type of scene where maybe outshot or outpossessed. Yet they were getting some really good opportunities in close. I'm talking about the Matthews line, but ultimately, opportunities don't mean anything. You got to get on the board. You got to score. You got to perform. And I do think it's a big opportunity for Matthews in particular to lead the charge in a game like tonight. And, you look at Florida, I think this game says more about them than it does the Leafs. I thought Game 2 said more about the Leafs than the Panthers because that's set up for a classic complacency game from Toronto Game 2. They didn't show that. They went out and earned it. They won the game. I think Florida tonight needs to prove that they still have stuff in the tank, that they still, because it's tough to grind 3 years in a row, man. That's the truth.
I told you the other day, Hayes, plant that seed that maybe the magic's over.
That's what I'm saying tonight. Yeah. Florida can prove that. Florida comes out flying and they win 5-1.
Grind their asses into the ground and make them fight for every piece of ice and just say maybe we can't go back to 3 finals.
There's a mental thing too of a couple things. One, you've played a lot. Now your back's up against the wall. A lot of guys in the room, not everyone, but a lot of them go home and the ring it's there. That can never be taken away from them, right? It's a different hunger, right? The Leafs have the hunger where they don't have anything. They've been starving and they're begging for anything they can get. Florida's been full and now they're gluttons. Now they want more, sure, but it's a different inspiration, and that's why I think tonight we'll say more about Florida. If they come out and they're flying and they lock everything down and they win a routine game and Bob stands tall, you're like, all right, they got a lot in the tank. Right. They want another one. Watch out. But if Bob's leaky, if Tkachuk can't get going, then they're vulnerable. Those two, for me, that is what is going to really be the proof of what Florida's all about. If Bob's leaky for whatever reason and Tkachuk just can't get going, that changes the whole vibe of that team.
Well, top players, right?
Top players.
It comes back to top players.
Especially a goaltender of that caliber.
Yeah, and it's another opportunity for Joseph Woll to kind of, push through and go, guys, don't worry about the health or the status of Anthony Stolarz right now. And I thought he played solid last game. I don't know how you felt. I thought he made some big saves when he needed to. And, it's a tougher environment now on the road, but he can continue to build his game out.
I think he's got the ability, Jamie. Obviously, as he's still young and he's battled some inconsistencies and he's battled health problems. But I think the one thing he's got in the tank is he can have that spectacular game. I think in Montreal in the middle of the season or something, he was fantastic, diving all over the net, and he was making the incredible. I think he has the idea, and who knows if this will buy enough time for Stolarz. But I think Joseph Woll has the ability to be incredible for that one game and steal one. I really do believe he has that ability because I think he's done it before. Obviously, his consistency is something that he has to work on. The bad goals once in a while he has to work on. But he sure as hell has the ability to go in there and steal the show. And and I think that's kind of mandatory.
Playoffs.
Yeah, he's done it before.
He did it against Boston last year. And he did it the year before against Florida. He was the one playing Game 4 when they went down. They were down 3-0. They won 2-1 that game, I think it was. Yeah. And he played really well. He played really well in Game 5. They lost in overtime. I get it. It's 2 years ago. It's not like he's had 50 or 60 playoff starts. But he's a capable guy. I think getting through these first 2 games, unscathed, and now you're in the series. I don't know what that means to you, Noodles, but I think there's no reason for rust anymore.
No.
Now you've played twice, and you fly down to Florida knowing you're playing. You're playing both games, Friday and Sunday.
This will be his third game played in 6 days. Like that's you're in
rhythm.
There's no
now.
more rust. You're playing, and that's it. And Anthony Stolarz isn't on the bird right now, landing ready to play. Like if he doesn't play well, it's Matt Murray. That's where you're going. Matt Murray's sitting on the bench in a ball cap waiting. Mm-hmm. And so right now Anthony Stolarz is just trying to get healthy, and hopefully he's fine and all of that. But this is Joseph Woll's net, and he has to be a difference maker. And tonight's an opportunity. It'll be a hard-fought game, and we'll see if Florida has some adjustments. That's the one thing that the beauty of this game is whether the adjustments work, whether you just laid out, Hayes, the top players show up, the matchups, all of that type of stuff. Like, we know Florida's third line has been solid in 2 games.
Outstanding.
Right?
Yep.
But it's their top 6 that hasn't really been super productive at 5-on-5. And, again, Nylander, Pacioretty, that they've been fantastic. Marner scores the game winner, but I thought he was somewhat subdued last game, like according to his standards or what the standards we've left or built up for him. But it's all right for guys to show up and go power on power and see how it unfolds tonight.
That's the
Guys,
truth.
we've been talking
Maybe
about
elevate
for years. I think it was very early on. I mean, there's so many, they all kind of blend together. But upper management, Shanny, and everybody talked about it. And the one word that came up was killer instinct, and how they were going to get it and how they were going to acquire it and what they were going to do about it. Now is a time tonight where if you truly deep down have learned in the past and it's actually there, and the competitiveness of all the supporting cast that's been brought in here and the coach that's been drilling it into you, now is the time to put it in place. Because I don't care how good the Florida Panthers are. If you go up 3-0 and they shock the world and come back, then good on them. But you go up 3 Cobb, you're most likely going to win.
You're
the
in the
series.
driver's seat,
Exactly.
man. You're in it right now up 2-0. You'd still be in it up 2-1, but really you go up. Yeah, obviously you go up 3-0, or you get a split down there. And listen, it's Friday, Sunday. They flew down yesterday. You're going to be in Florida for like 80 hours. You're playing 2 games in 80 hours. It's a business trip. Get down and get out.
Yep.
But Matthew Nyes was speaking on that earlier today about, anticipating what Florida could throw at them this evening, and this is what he had to say about the challenge.
100%. I think it's going to be, obviously it's a challenge taking a game on home ice. So, it's going to be a huge pushback. It's going to be the hardest game we've played so far, and I think we're up for the challenge.
So I like that last line. It's a throwaway cliche, but I think we're up for the challenge. All right, go get it. Yeah. That's what Berube's been saying. Business-like, be ready, take on the challenge. It doesn't have to be automatic that Florida just gets to win tonight because they're supposed to. Go out there and ruffle feathers, or at least make them earn it. Right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna beat. I don't see we don't even need to get into that word. But Florida's going to fight. Florida's
said
going to.
it. You
said it on the panel the other day, which is very disappointing. I heard
What
about that.
did I say?
Didn't you say sweep?
Did you mention
you guys,
sweep after
that's
game
Dreg.
2?
You know what I
After
said?
game 2,
You know what I
said
said?
that?
Dregs told me that.
That was really starting to
Maybe
move.
how
Here's
about
what I
this?
said.
We
Here's what
asked
I
the guy
said.
for
I
context.
said it in
Yes.
round 1, and I'll say it again in round 2. You're allowed to spank a team. Like, you're allowed to
Right.
spank a team. You don't have to make it interesting and let this thing drag out 6 or 7. They did it in the last series against Ottawa, and now they're up 2-0 again. You are allowed to spank a team. And then I hear from the guy on my left, he goes, sounds like you're saying it's going to be a sweep. And I just shook my
that's
head
what
and I
it
said,
was.
you're an idiot.
Oh, so it was Dreger
Yeah.
that said it.
It's Dreger.
Exactly. I never said anything about it. I wouldn't talk
that's him
like a
just
moron
trolling.
like that.
That's him trolling.
We should know. I mean, Dregs likes to troll and Dregs like to needle a little
Moron.
bit. So that's what it was. Because Dregs, I worked with him right after that. He goes, "Your buddy was calling a sweep," and I go,
Of course
"Oh,
he
really?"
said that.
You're a moron.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think they're saying in Edmonton right now? You think they got the stones to say the S word out there, or what?
Not
I
based
think they
on-
are going to sweep because
You
I don't
think they're
think
gonna sweep?
Vegas goalie has gone out there with his equipment yet.
Well,
Like that Podkolzin goal, like there's been some goals going in on that guy.
Then the nurse
Silly
one right
stuff.
after it. too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the weird Edmonton didn't deserve that win last night. They were Vegas played better than them.
Look at this
Yes,
goal, Podkolzin.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a brutal snipe, man.
Listen,
that was Nurse.
Those are bad.
Oh, no,
that's Podkolzin, and then the Nurse scores right after it to make it 3-1. Yeah. But Vegas was like this play. Vegas was loose. Look at just lost battle here, lost turnover, middle of the ice. And yes, you need to make that save, no doubt.
That's what I call a warm-up shot. Like when you wheel down the middle of the ice and you just you wrist one on the goalie.
But look at Vander Kane scores from the slot. Nobody's around there. Like that's uncharacteristic of Vegas. So Edmonton gets up 4-2, and then they take their foot off the gas, and Vegas tunes them up and goes at them. Like I think Vegas deserve to win. Oh, you talk about it. Those two were out to lunch last night.
Yeah, McDavid and Draisaitl. Now, Draisaitl, of course, scores the OT
winner. Of course, well,
he does.
and McDavid was ridiculous. Draisaitl even said in his postgame, he goes, I'm just the guy who facilitated it. He goes, but look at Draisaitl, falls down trying to block that shot. Look at him, steps on his own stick here. Watch this.
Yeah, it's
like they just had an uncharacteristic off night. But they've scored 17 goals in their last couple games, the last 3-4 games. 15 have been not Leon Draisaitl.
Guys, I got to ask you, though.
That's what's amazing last night.
Was the referee right in front of this?
That's a terrible call.
Was that guy at Cheetah's shattered all night? Because
that's a bad call.
That is insane to miss that call. A can opener, the guy almost breaks his neck.
Yeah.
And you don't call it? Like, what? He's staring right at it.
Cassidy was fuming after the game.
Can opener, separated shoulder. See you later. No call.
And this is 100% a penalty. It might have been a major if you really want to dig into it. But they missed that call. Edmonton got a 5-minute major for the cross-check.
Yes, the cross-check. He got him pretty good.
He got him good, right on the beat.
Frederick pretty good in the
But I have no idea what that guy was doing either.
I think he thought Frederick was coming up with his stick. I'm not trying to condone it, but if you see Frederick, he comes up, and then it's an instinct, and he's like he buries
I actually think a part of it is he's trying. This is really wacky to say, but the puck comes up, and I think he wants to try to hit the puck with his hand, and then
push it,
Like, I really believe he tried to do that, but then he saw a guy's face in the way, and he said, I don't know, I guess I have to cross-check.
Well,
Frederick chewed on that 5-minute penalty.
And the Oilers had 9 shots on goal and post and a crossbar. So I was like, okay, Vegas is winning this. I believe they deserve to win, but Edmonton found a way.
Doesn't matter. Deserve meter, it goes up in smoke in the playoffs, man.
In the end, too, we were talking about it, Hayes, like, Pickard allowed 4 goals. I thought he was unbelievable. I think Vegas, you look at the stats, and I know there's overtime involved. They had 27 high-danger chances, and the Oilers had 25, I think it was. It was a pretty high-event game.
Well, 5-4 in overtime. I mean, it had that vibe to it.
Yeah.
But that is very, very, I think, comforting if you're an Oiler fan, is that you're seeing last night Podkolzin, and you're seeing Kane, and you're seeing Nurse, and it's not the McDavid Draisaitl show.
Yeah,
like it's
Wallman and
Jake Wallman he got on the board first for them last night. Like that, it wasn't 5 points for McDavid and 4 for Draisaitl. Like that wasn't what happened in Game 1. That wasn't really what happened down the stretch against LA. And even though they've accumulated points, naturally they're always going to. I think what's scary is it feels like those two, they've got a level or two left that they can still reach, that if and when that happens and everyone else continues to pull your weight, that is trouble. That is trouble for a lot of teams. And you look at here's most points in the 2020-25 playoffs for the Oilers. McDavid, 14, Draisaitl, 13, but then Bouchard, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman. I guess it filters down the way you would expect it. But I saw a note this morning about, the Stanley Cup odds, and FanDuel's making adjustments, and Edmonton is now at the top of that list as the Cup favorites. And what's interesting is the Leafs, I believe, have leapfrogged the Panthers. But last night,
where were the Panthers before? Second?
I think
weren't they one?
I think it was Dallas that was at the top to start the series, and Florida was right there with them. But things have changed. Now again, we got Game 2 of the Dallas-Winnipeg series tonight. It may flip again. If Dallas wins Game 2, they might jump over Edmonton, and maybe they're the favorites. It's going to fluctuate based on what's going on out there. But interesting times, man.
Well, I mean, Dallas deserves it. They're a rock-solid team, and they're getting healthy. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see Winnipeg have a response here tonight.
Morrissey's playing tonight. Heiskanen not back still. He's still not going tonight.
Yeah. Winnipeg Jets are running out of bullets. Like the next time their coach goes in front of the podium and says his team was junk and it felt like an exhibition game, it might be they might have one foot out the door. Like this is the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I think it's 3 or 4 times, and he's gotten up there and he's like, "Don't ask me about Hellebuck. We all stunk."
Well,
4 times we've heard that.
I know, but we were talking about it yesterday. This guy, he should be banned from the microphone because he is everybody else. The coach goes up and it's just politician and very smooth and very, Pete DeBoer's leaning back in a chair and yucking it up. And Paul Maurice, we all know how smooth. Even Chief has got a smile on his face. And it's Scott O'Neill. It's just like, it's game 40. I didn't see it that way. Obviously, he knew behind the scenes of what he saw from his team and what he's capable of. So he's right, I'm wrong. But it's more about the way he's been in the media. I don't
Wiry,
know.
Man. Wiry. Like this guy, he's on edge, man. He is on edge.
He's got an attitude. He's Lieutenant Dan.
He
right
does
now.
have that cooking right now.
Well,
All
if you're going to go that
Game-
far, you might as well just pick out the 4 guys that you thought were garbage. Like if you're going to go that far. And really make a statement and kind of put the pressure on them to respond.
Well, game 2 tonight.
Exactly. If he goes out there again and goes nuts, they got 1 foot out the door, maybe 2.
They better win tonight. Got to have a response. Got to win tonight. We'll tee that up. And again, Leafs Panthers right here on TSN Radio. Mark Giordano sets the scene on the game. We'll do that next. OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We got Mark Giordano coming up, and it's a big weekend. Big weekend. We got Mother's Day on Sunday. So you get the Leafs tonight and the Leafs on Sunday, Mother's Day, right? A lot of mothers out there rooting for the Leafs here. Come on. So a lot of guys trying to get plans together, too, to figure out how they can kind of work all this out. Right? This is where the superstitious Leaf fan is in a bind. Because if your move is, I'm always at my buddy's house hours before the game, doing whatever I'm doing, and it coincides with like a Mother's Day dinner, you better figure your life out, man. Right? What's the priority here?
Well, I thought you were talking about stop by a gas station to pick up a
gift
what
card.
is it? The gift card.
Yeah, I
exactly.
think that's a great move. I stand by that, and I've stood by that for the last decade. I don't think there's anything wrong with a gift card. I intend on looking into those myself.
Agreed.
I have a very, very good plan.
Yeah, it's paththetic.
For my gift cards.
Just give cash to your own mother.
Well, maybe I'll do that. Yeah, maybe that's possible too. Yes, exactly. I got to figure out exactly the right amount.
Yeah.
All right, game 3 tonight. Leafs Panthers. We got game 2 in Winnipeg as well. Here's a former Leaf, good friend of the show. Here's Mark Giordano joining us back on OverDrive. Gio, what's happening?
How are we doing, guys?
We're doing well.
Is my microphone on today, or are we working?
You're good, buddy.
Everything good?
You're good. You've mastered this now, man. You're a seasoned vet. Right. We love it. So what do you make of the approach for the Leafs tonight? Like if you're walking into a situation like this, you're up 2-0, you're on the road, Florida, they represent what they represent. What would you expect the messaging and the mood to be in the Leaf room before the game?
Yeah, I would assume the coaches are on the guys to let's not be comfortable at 2-0. It's a great start to the series, but they have a real opportunity here tonight to go out. That first 10 minutes, Florida's going to want to come out, but I think the Leafs should go out with a counter to that, and they have a real opportunity to show these guys hey, we're for real, we're here for real, we're looking to sweep you, because if Florida wins the game tonight, the whole outcome of the series, will be. It'll be in question. It'll not in question, but it'll look different. It'll feel like a 7-game series. If the Leafs win tonight, then we're talking sweep tomorrow, right? So I would expect the boys. They know the opponent. They respect the opponent. I would expect them to come out with a good start because that's Florida's game plan for sure.
So Gio, with that in mind, is there anything different they have to do as far as the approach, or even the players in the room? Is there something that maybe guys have to step out of their comfort zone to, maybe a little extra hit, a little extra take a punch in the face to draw a penalty, something? Is there something you could identify that maybe could help put them over the top here on a tough road opponent?
Well, I think they've done a good job in all areas, Noodles, to be honest, in the series. They've touched a little bit of everything. Their depth has been great. Pacioretty's probably been one of the best players in the series. Domi's been good. They finally got that power play goal last game. So you're touching 5-on-5. They're playing well. They're touching all areas. They're playing physical. They're not taking stupid penalties. And I would preach a lot of the same. Now, Florida's probably preaching a lot of the same too. Like they've played some pretty good hockey too. I think what they would want is a little bit better goaltending on their end, and they'd like Bobrovsky to step up there. But other than that, they've had some pretty good stretches. But I would be preaching a lot of the same. I like the Leafs, especially their rebound shifts, like after goals or after momentum swings. They've had big shifts. Like the goal after the game got tied last game was a good example of it. But even Florida was pushing really hard at the start there when Marchand scored in the second period. Florida was pushing really hard for about 5 minutes. And the Leafs are showing that ability to, rebound and get their own momentum back. And they've been doing that all year. So it's been really a really key to success for them.
Gio, you're familiar with Woll. Obviously, you played with him. Like, are you comfortable with the idea of him, or confident in the idea of him having the ability to go into Florida and steal one tonight? Because we've seen it in the past. He has struggled with a bit of consistency, but the one thing he can do, he can throw a performance at you where he goes nuts, and he's just dynamic, and he makes the athletic saves, he makes the impossible saves, and that's kind of what they need tonight. They need him to be dialed in. Yeah,
I agree. I think he's very capable playing with Waller. I think, especially like he had a long break there, so Noodles can talk better about this than me. But being not in the net for 20 days is a big deal. So now he's gotten those reps in, and like you said, I think one of the two games he's going to have to probably steal one there. Florida's coming out with some big games in their home building, basically. Not do or die yet, but basically almost there. So I think he's getting better and better. With every period that goes by. He made that huge save that you're showing right now in the third, and he's definitely capable. Really athletic, really moves well, really reads the play well. You'll be able to tell right away with Waller. I always could tell right away with him. If he's calm, if he's reading the play right away, you'll be able to tell. And
did you change your game if he was junk early, Gio?
Oh, he might dive in front of a couple floaters from the blue line. No, he was pretty good. He was pretty consistent when I was there. But yeah, I think this is credit to the Leafs, the depth in their net. I mean, he's basically a 1A, right? So he's stepping in now, and he's the guy. It looks like Stolarz isn't there for the trip, so he's the guy.
With Mark Giordano, I'm curious if you're seeing a role reversal from what you guys ran into a couple of years ago when you were on that team. You get through Tampa, there's chance in Toronto. We want Florida. Florida at that point had just backdoored into the playoffs. Like I think if Pittsburgh wins in Chicago, Florida doesn't even make the playoffs that year. They're down 3-1 to Boston. They storm back. They find a way to win it. Overtime, Game 7. And everyone at that point was thinking, all right, the Leafs are the team here. Florida's got to prove who they are. And now, before you knew it, you guys were down 3-0 in the series and chasing it. Yeah. Do you see a role reversal here where is there a chance Florida looked at Toronto and maybe wasn't certain of exactly what they were really made of, and now the Leafs have punched them in the face twice quickly, and if they don't snap out of it, they could be in a similar situation to the one you guys were in 2 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. I think Florida found out real quick that they're different this year, the Leafs team. They're built different. They play a little bit different system. Their structure is really good. Their face-off detail is really good. And I think that's paid off in the playoffs. And I think Marchand's comments after last game said it best. Like, he was preaching how good the Leafs are. And I think it did catch them off, maybe off a little bit, but I think they knew going in. I think they were saying all the right things. But I think everyone in the league who's playing knows, like, they're a team that's you should be watching for sure.
With Mark Giordano, Auston Matthews, and the way he's been playing, what have you seen out of his game, and what is there another level there in your opinion? And if so, what would that look like starting tonight?
I've liked his game. I watch him on the defensive side of the puck now, and he's been a beast. And he's him and Barkov. They're going to cancel each other out a lot of shifts if they're playing against each other. That's just the way it's going to be. You'd like to see them, the boys, the top line there, contribute offensively as much as possible. But hey, like we said before, set up the next shift, play hard, play well defensively, and then Barkov got one last game on the power play. Maybe the top guys on the Leafs get one on the power play, but basically they're going to cancel each other out. The thing that's been interesting to me is the depth has been canceling each other out too. As good as Pacioretty and those guys have been, like Marchand's line has been really good in Florida. They've been scoring goals. So it's been a pretty even series, like 2 1-goal games, and we'll see what happens. I think Florida, I think, if you're in the coach's room when there's no players around in Florida, they're saying, okay, if we can get a save here or there, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
What do you make of your buddy Mo's game? I mean, Morgan's a guy who's certainly gotten some points and got some goals, and looks to be a lot more comfortable. How in watching him, I'm sure you focus a lot on the D. How do you make of Morgan's game?
Yeah, I've said it before. When Mo's feeling comfortable, he's up in the rush. You can tell he's up in the play, and he's been up in the play a lot in this series. And that comes with confidence. I mean, he had a regular season, like everyone, sort of up and down regular season. But just like the last time he had a tough season, he came into playoffs and he was our best player against when we beat Tampa there and moving forward. So he's having a good start to the playoffs offensively, and I think that's contributing to his overall confidence and his overall game.
Gio, with 2:55 left, the Florida Panthers pulled their goaltender, and they didn't get a shot on net. And there's been long stretches where the Leafs defensively, we talk a lot about game breakers getting it done in the core four, and they've got to step up and produce offense. But there's been long stretches where they're 10, 12, 15 minutes will go by, and they haven't allowed a shot against Ottawa. And it really stuck out when the Florida Panthers pulled their goaltender. They didn't allow a shot on net. What are you seeing? Would you say it would be more personnel that's been added, or is that coaching? Like, what do you attribute to their ability to check and defend and keep the puck out of the core area of the ice?
Yeah, I think the personnel thing is as far as personnel goes, they're blocking way more shots than they ever have. I think at one point in the last game, it was like Leafs had 25 blocks to Florida's 8. So they're blocking more shots for sure, but it's coaching, it's structure. They're packing it in the slot. You can't get slot chances against this team. It seems like they're not giving up much from in there, and they're okay with Florida, going low to high and then putting it back down and creating battles behind their net and all that thing. They're okay with that game, but anything in the slot, even off the rush, you see their back pressure, all that. They're not giving much up in the slot. And, when Florida's on their game, they don't give up a lot of chances. But the difference is Florida is so super aggressive with their defensemen, and they're relying on their third forward to be high and be a safety valve. But if Florida's just a step off, like we've seen in this series, they'll give up odd man rushes and breakaways. And they've done it a bunch in the series. The Leafs have caught them because they make crisp plays. They make good little chips, and they're so aggressive that there is that opportunity against Florida to create odd men. It was like that when Maurice coached in Winnipeg. It was the same thing. When they were on, it felt like you had no room, no time, no space. But if they're just a step off, you can create odd man chances against this team.
With Mark Giordano, you mentioned Max Pacioretty and his contribution. I think it's pretty clear he benefited from not playing down the stretch, although it may have been frustrating. Like, he may have been ready and he wanted to get in. What is that like, as a veteran in the room where, maybe you're coming in out of the lineup, but you understand, the impact you're really going to have on this team is come playoff time, but like waiting for that, getting through the season and understanding maybe your minutes are reduced or, again, you're not in the lineup, but waiting for that time and hoping that you're ready to contribute come playoff time.
Yeah, you know what? That was the hardest thing that I found in my career, was to go from playing, 20 plus minutes a night to then not playing the minutes. And then, towards the end of my career, getting scratched a few times and then coming in. It was the hardest thing to accept. And everyone around you is telling you, oh, you need to rest, take the pregame skate off, take the morning skates off. And I hated it because I was like, you're almost admitting defeat. Like, Father Time has defeated me, so
right.
I hated it. But he's done a great job, man. He's changed his role. First off, like, the guy, we all forget how many goals the guy scored in the league, but he's changed his role into power forward, third line checking for whatever you want to call it, and he's excelled. And yeah, for sure, there is something to the science behind getting the rest as an older guy and as a more veteran player and a guy who's been through some pretty tough injuries as well. So good on him. He looks great out there. He looks really fresh. And but it was, I will say, that was the hardest thing for me in my career to accept.
Gio, just wanted to follow up quickly on that. Like you mentioned, Father Time catching up and having to adjust. Is it something where you just it's a feeling, or did somebody have to pull you aside? Did a coach go, hey, you're going over video and you can't get there anymore? Like, is it just a gradual thing? Like you're admitting it, but at what point did you identify it and adjust your game?
I think, you know what, Noodles, I think for me, the first year I would have started noticing it was when I went to Seattle my first year, when I think I was about 37. It's just the speed, the ability to get there isn't there anymore. And you have to rely way more on your reads and your hockey IQ. And I think a lot of old guys have that. And that's why a guy like Corey Perry, a guy like Pacioretty, can stick around in the league. It's just hockey IQ, and you have to be able to read the play properly. Like for me, it was as a defenseman, I used to love jumping in and getting in the rush as the fourth man. And I found what I noticed was I wasn't getting as many chances offensively anymore because I wasn't getting up in the rush enough. I wasn't getting there. I knew I wanted to be where I wanted to be, but sometimes you just couldn't get there. And also playing the rush the other way. You got to be aware, certain guys in the league have a ton of speed. And that's why as you get older, it gets harder because you start giving more gap. You start giving more time and space because you can't keep up. And then eventually there's a point in time where you can't play anymore because you're hurting the team. So it's just reads, it's little things, but certain guys can hang on longer than others. That's for sure.
I'd love to have just a screenshot of your brain when you're 40 and try to lead a rush and you're like, what am I doing out here, man? This is trouble.
That poor Jack Eichel last night was trying to skate backwards.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for him. Eichel's a top 10 player around,
He's in that range for sure.
McDavid made him look like a beer leaguer. But, most forwards don't skate backwards. That's the other thing. Oh, were you a good backwards skater? Like, could you skate backwards?
Honestly, Jamie, you asked the question, and I thought of how many times I probably skated backwards in the NHL, and I'm not going to say that it never happened, but I don't remember skating backwards in that league, hardly ever.
You know what? We were joking, Gio, before you came on, McDavid and Draisaitl didn't have a good night, but it's one play. And Eichel gets caught back, and he is like, oh, my God.
Look at him here. He's like, I'm dead. I'm dead. This guy, there's no way I can beat this guy in overtime.
You don't want to take the penalty, right? You don't want to take the penalty, but against those two, you're almost better off taking the penalty because it's 2-on-1 with them. It's always ends up being a birdie. So maybe you try your chances on the penalty kill, but
well, no kidding.
That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare seeing him coming down of all guys to get that gap, right?
Terrifying. And let's clarify, Pietrangelo was I don't know what he was doing either, but he ends up on Aiden Hill. That's not comfortable either for anybody. Yeah. All right, Gio, Game 3 tonight. It should be a great one. Enjoy it, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Okay, boys. Good talking to you.
There he is, Mark Giordano.
Thanks, Gio.
That is terrifying for Eichel, but even again, you look at the aftermath, Pietrangelo drops, lands on Hill, and, because even the way McDavid stops on a dime almost to throw Pietrangelo off on defending the 2-on-1. It's crazy.
It was.
All right, we've got Chris Johnston coming up. Mike Johnson will join us as well. We got Dear Hazy B later this afternoon. We're chugging towards Game 3 right here on TSN Radio. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Mike Johnson coming up. He's over in Sweden. Canada is absolutely stacked going into the World Championship, so we'll catch up with Johnny on that.
Dude, that team is...
It's crazy. They got Braden Shen as their third-line center, I think.
Says a lot about Sid, man. He joins up. Everyone's like, I'll go.
Yeah, Bennington's going. Shen might be on the fourth line because Celebrini. If I'm Celebrini, I am begging the coaches to let me play with Sid. Begging me to play. Can I play left wing? Let me play with the guy. I'd be itching for that.
I just saw the lineup. McKinnon, Horvat, Deneau, O'Reilly down the middle. Crosby, Shen, Fantilli, Celebrini on the left side. Konechny, Forster, Kent Johnson, and Will Cooley on the right side. Sanheim, Dobson, Matheson, Weegar, Montour, Spurgeon, Binnington, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, that's loaded.
Pretty darn good team.
I love that Sid's like, hey, I'm playing left wing over here. Like, I'm not going to go I'm not in the corners. It's not a 200-foot game for me. Like, I'll come over, and I'm the captain, but someone else is going up and down the ice, man.
Yeah.
I'll take a face-off from time to time, but that's going to be it for me. Don't forget, TSN 1050 giving away tickets to every Maple Leaf playoff home game, and all you have to do is listen to us on the iHeartRadio app for your chance to win them. To enter, download the iHeartRadio app, create an account, and listen to TSN 1050 for at least 15 minutes straight. You can enter twice per day, so listen to First Up and OverDrive, and the more times you listen, the better your chances of winning. Hour 2 coming up. Both Johnsons coming up. One in Sweden, one in South Florida ahead of the games tonight. The Jays are in Seattle starting a series tonight. Big win for the Jays. Everything's coming together last night. I love it. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.